What up with my people, man? What's up with y'all? Y'all know when y'all hear that truck horn, y'all know what time it is. Hey, man, make sure that y'all hit like, share, subscribe, man. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm growing, getting new subscribers every day, even though it's one or two of y'all. I still appreciate y'all out there. Shout out to the Steelers Twitterverse, man. I got some things that I'm gonna jump up into that. But first, man, I'm gonna get into these college quarterbacks, right? Y'all see Joe Klatt on the screen. Um, and this is about Arch and all the hype that's going on with Arch. And I think where it started from months ago. This video clip is about to react to was from Joe Klatt's show. Shout out to Joe Klatt. Um, he did it like 3 months ago, right? And as y'all know, he's pretty good with quarterbacks. I'm not saying that Arch won't be the best or whatever, but I mean, when you got him ranked above all three of those guys right there on the screen that you can see is really in the top, like Drew Aller, Sam Levitt, and John Mateer, if you can't see it, right? Because I got my ticker up. And those guys have college experience. And for some reason, you know what I mean, they put him on this pedestal. And I think a lot of it has to do with the last name. It does, like, right? Because if he got a different last name, we're all looking at him like a different quarterback. We're all looking at him like a different person. It is what it is. And that's why I said he is this year's Shedeur Sanders. And people put the training wheels on when it comes to their media takes and their critiques on them and how they're actually breaking it down versus what they would do with somebody else. That's just how I feel about the situation. But I already spoke on that. And I don't want to sound repetitive in what I'm saying. I just wanted to show y'all some receipts on what's actually been going on up out here. So let me play it, man. I've been talking too much already, man. So let me just go ahead and play the video for y'all, and then I'll give my commentary afterwards.
He was really good. And then you actually watch him through the year, and it's like, oh, yeah. He was one of the 10 best last year. He's coming back for sure. All right, let's go to number 2. I've got to do it because I believe in him. I believe in his coach. I think that this program is one of the 3 best programs in college football right now. It's time for Arch Manning. Arch Manning's going to be number 2. I know he only started 2 games last year, and I'm always big on experience, but did you see him play in those 2 games? Don't we know anything about Steve Sarkisian and the way that he builds an offense around the tools that he has? And now with Arch, you've got a big quarterback, 6'4", 225 pounds. He can move. He's got a stronger arm than Quinn Ewers. Quinn was experienced, and there's no doubt. And Sark was loyal to Quinn. There's no doubt. But, there's a difference to the offense when Manning went in than when Quinn Ewers was in. This is not a knock. It becomes more dynamic. And the reason is because Arch puts more players in conflict on the field than what Ewers did. Again, not a knock, just a comparison. Arch puts edge defenders in conflict because he can run. And that was something last year. I don't think anybody realized how athletic he actually is on the outside, but he can run. And then he puts safeties in conflict because he can threaten every blade of grass on the field. He's got a great arm, a really great arm, and he's accurate with it. I look up and I think to myself, you know what? Arch is going to be really good. Again, I know it's a projection, and I know that maybe some of this is his last name, but it's just going to work out. If there was a quarterback
he needs time to get great.
So I'm gonna pause that. Don't take nothing from that video. I'll play that video, but I'm gonna get this to y'all right here. My commentary, right, on what Joe Klatt just said, right, because that can be taken out of context with a lot of people out here on the internet nowadays. I'm just being real. When we're doing this, people take certain words, keywords, they'll take it and flip it. Like Joe Klatt was actually saying that, at the end, he put it all in the context and say a lot of this can be his last name and my expectations for him. You know what I'm saying? And then yesterday, he did try to clarify and catch up and say before the game, because he actually called the Ohio State-Texas game yesterday, that There was a lot of unfair expectations on Arch Manning. He thinking it wasn't fair. Well, he has to know that he started that, right? He started those unfair expectations, because this is not Arch Manning's fault. Why a lot of people believe that, they believe it because you have professionals such as Joe Klatt. He's very respected talking about quarterbacks out here. So we're gonna look to Joe Klatt when we're talking about college quarterbacks. Yeah, you've been pretty right. The last couple of years you've been out here with your podcast on quarterbacks. They haven't sucked. Even the ones that you have put in your top five, maybe they haven't wound up being top five, but they haven't sucked. They've actually been productive with their offenses, right? So there's a lot of people out there that take that to heart. And see, why do they take that to heart? Because it's the things that you place around it, right? So let's lead into that video just a little bit, lean into that. And when he says, first of all, he's put him above guys like John Maytier, Drew Aller, Sam Levitt, and those guys actually have experience playing in, playoff experience. And they've actually played some big teams, right? John Maytier is not a quarterback down at Oklahoma right now, but he did play at Washington State last year, but he threw for over 4,000 yards last year, right? So when you're comparing a quarterback who's only had 2 starts in the SEC, but did he start against any SEC? Who's the 2 teams that he played last year, right? You got to go into that, and you got to kind of lean into those 2 teams that Arch Manning played last year, right? Because you just can't go off and say, well, oh yeah, Arch Manning, he's the best, and and he played in his 2 games last year, he lit it up. Now, granted, to me, it really doesn't matter who Arch Manning played last year, right? And this is why, right? Because he's evaluating a quarterback, he's evaluating his traits, his mental traits. Did he look calm in the pocket? Was he able to overcome a little bit of adversity in the game if he made a mistake? You know what I mean? How did he look after that? Was his feet work good in the pocket? When he was his form while he was throwing the ball, how his decision making? Those are the kind of things that Joe Klatt's looking at. Us football fans know that, but however, there is a whole slew of people who now watch football content, sports content, just to try to keep up, and they like watch shorts, or they'll watch something, they're just driving, and they may not know a lot about it. And then there's just some people out there who just take things and just spin it in a totally different way, right? And then you say to yourself, well, oh, Arch Manning, he lit it up. I heard Joe Klatt say he lit it up last year, and they never went back and watched those games, or never knew who he actually played against, right? And I think, and that does have something to do with it also, right? Because if you got all day in the pocket, you got a Texas offensive line going against a high school varsity team's defensive line. It's just what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Come on now. I mean, like he'll have the time of the day to do whatever he needs to do. He'll be able to break those 75-yard rushing touchdowns against whoever. You know what I mean? He's not going to he'll probably, scramble for a good 25, 30-yard touchdown, maybe against Ohio State or somebody, maybe. And I'm saying maybe, right? I got to clarify the maybe, because people take things out here and they say things. But you're not going to do that. You might get away with that versus a ULM or something like that, right? And I think he only had a couple of starts last year, right? And that's just what it is with Arch Manning. But so I'm getting that pulled up right now because I actually want to put in the context for everybody on actually what Arch Manning and his starts and what he did last year, because that's a lot. That means a lot to know exactly what Arch Manning did last year. So we kind of getting to looking at his career stats, and when you look at all his career stats and you see him, he played last year. He played a total, yeah, okay. He didn't even play that much, so he only threw for last season. He threw for almost 1,000 yards. He had 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Right. He had 61 completions out of 90 attempts. He had a 67.8 completion percentage, and he averaged 10.4 yards per catch, right? Per throw. It was sacked 6 times, right? But that doesn't, you know what I mean? That doesn't put everything in a context, right? It just doesn't. And that's why you can't go off stats all the time, because that's only in a couple of games. You know, you looking at those guys, you look at those other guys' stats, you know, that he was compared to. And that's another thing that I have to talk about in the video. You see him get compared to Jackson Dart and DJ Lagway. He had nowhere near the SEC experience that Jackson Dart and DJ Lagway had. He just didn't. He had nowhere near that experience. But see, on the Joe Klotz show, he showed that. And he's trying to reason why I think, you know, and all he's doing is a preseason and trying to show why he's putting him at number 2, correct? But this is the reason why I'm putting him at number 2. Well, he did that in a couple of games. So it's crazy to say that, you know, and it's crazy to do that because people will just take those things and just run with them out here. Like it's just nothing. Also, he mentioned how good he was because he puts edge rushers in conflict. That's what he said. He puts edge rushers in conflict, correct? Let's go back and rewind it. Then he also said he'll also put safeties in conflict because he can cover every blade of grass. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he believes in them. He did say that before he got into that. But see, to an average person out here, they're like, oh man, he's really good. You know what I mean? He can put guys in a conflict and everything else. And see, that's when I had to learn and I had to say, I got to watch the film myself. I got to get an evaluation of myself. And if I feel if he's that good, then that's cool. But if I don't think that he's really that guy, I'm not just going to jump out the window on him and just say that. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm doing at all. Like I definitely don't want to just jump out the window and do that because I don't think it's fair at all for me to just jump out the window and do that. You know, I just don't like. So his last year opponents, right? Arch Manning, he played last year. He played Colorado State University. That's what he played. He threw 6 passes, total passes in that game. Completed 5 of them for 95 yards and a touchdown. That's what Arch Manning did last year. He played University of Texas San Antonio. He threw a total of 12 passes in that game because it was a blowout. Completed 9 of them for 223 yards and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. His first start was versus University of Louisiana Monroe. They beat him 51-3. He had 29 attempts, completed 15 of them for 258 yards, had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in that game against Louisiana Monroe and was sacked once, right? Against Mississippi State Bulldogs, which is they're in the SEC, but let's just call it what it is. Mississippi State is a low tier SEC team. They have been for some time, you know. Since Dak Prescott left, it's been some years, right? Since they've actually been of relevance, right? Let's just call it what it is. He was 26 for 31 in that game, 325 yards. They did win, had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, right? He went in the Georgia game through a total of 6 passes, only completed 3 of them for 19 yards. And in the Georgia game, he was sacked twice in his 6 dropbacks. Right. So and that's just, and then the Florida game, he had 6 dropbacks in that game, completed 3 of them for 19 yards. So sometimes stats don't tell the whole story. They just don't. This is where the hype all comes from. And like, so when he was talking about his experience, like he didn't really have any. He didn't play a whole game versus Florida. He didn't play the whole game versus Georgia. He didn't play against Texas A&M. He didn't play in the SEC championship game versus Georgia. He hasn't played Alabama. He hasn't played LSU. He hasn't played South Carolina. You get where I'm going? And for people to say that, and then people still out there misleading. And look, I want him to do good because I just think it's just going to take him time. Me personally, I think that 1 whole year is not enough in the SEC regardless of how good this team is, for him to go into the NFL draft next year. That's just me. I think he should just take his time. There's NIL money out here to be made. He can still make a decent bag, get more experience, and he can learn everything he needs to learn this year. But then next year, maybe he can work on slide protections, coverages, just getting the little nuances and just nitpicking at his game, getting his throw motions down, his timing, stepping up in the pocket, when to throw it, just taking what the defense gives you, just working on those little things the NFL is going to throw at you, right? Because that's very important. And I'm going to save that for the conversation I'm going into about college quarterbacks, right? I'm going to save that. Remember what I said just there. But that's all I'm saying. Like he just didn't have, but see, then you have other guys out here and other people that were trying to tell people, but people don't listen because they're not your favorite. Like Heather Dinchich, she said it. Manning won't be the best quarterback in the country or the SEC. Because we don't really know. But look, let's just go ahead and let's just listen to what they had to say on Get Up months ago.
He needs time to get great.
That's a hitter, Paul Feinbaum. Do you agree with your colleague?
Yeah, Peter, I'm already getting irritated. We haven't even started, but I agree. But Arch Manning is not like some kid you just dropped off, on his first day of school. I mean, he's got some background, Peter, and Heather just always wants to look past the glamour boy and look to somebody in the Big Ten or even Kay Klubnik, who I agree with. He could be the best quarterback, but Arch Manning does not have to be the best quarterback because he's on the best team on both sides of the ball, Heather.
Dan Orlovsky, you're in studio.
One, he absolutely has to be the best quarterback because they are the favorite at Texas to win the national championship. Number two, the best quarterback in the country that no one talks about is in Columbia, South Carolina, Norris Sellers. And I would agree with Heather that probably the best quarterback in the country right now is Garrett Nussmeier. Arch Manning is more than likely going to be awesome, but we don't know about Arch Manning. I've seen Nuss late in games, 3rd and 9, have to make a big throw and get it done. I watched Norris Sellers finish with 4 straight wins for South Carolina in the SEC and go for over 300 yards a game. So I think Arch has got this expectation, and there's probably no quarterback in the country under more pressure than Arch Manning, but there are 5 or 6 other quarterbacks that are much more proven, at least right now in college football.
That's all they were saying, right? That's all they were saying, And Dan don't get it right all the time. None of us really get it right all the time out here. We just don't, y'all. Like we none of us gets it right all the time when we're out here. Now, he said he will be the best, like, because he's on the best team. He doesn't have to be the best because he's on the best team. And see, that's kind of my point leading up into what I getting at with college quarterbacks. Like, some of these guys are playing on the best teams, right? So they got time all day. You may not have, if you're going to be a high first round draft pick or a high draft pick in the first round, most likely you're on a bad team, right? You're a top 10 pick. You're going to a team who has struggled in some area, right? Because they just lost a lot. That's just what it is. They lost a lot of games. And offensive line is probably going to be one of those things, right? Where they need to shore up. See, in college, you had the best O-line, right? So that's why I say there's really no rush into going to the NFL for somebody like Arch Manning anyway. Like, there's really no rush with that. Like, if you don't have to go to the NFL this year, don't do it. You sat for 2 years. You're a junior now. You know what I mean? There's plenty of NIL money for you to get there. There's so much to work on. And now it's leading up into what I'm talking about with just college quarterbacks in general, because it's just not Arch Manning, right? We're only really focusing and locking in on him because of his last name, right? That's why this is even being talked about as much, because there's so many college quarterbacks who struggle with so much things, like, do they actually know all the coverages that they're being shown? There's so many college quarterbacks that struggle with post-snap read. The defense are showing them one thing pre-snap, but then they jump into something else. And that's exactly what hit them yesterday with Matt Patricia being an NFL defensive coordinator. And once you start seeing that, and as much money as going into college football, you're going to start seeing more complex defensive schemes, such as Matt Patricia's up at Ohio State. That's how these best college teams win, because they're throwing different schemes at these quarterbacks to where their offensive coordinators and these head coaches are not preparing these college quarterbacks for. But it just isn't their job. I've argued this point down on the panel. It isn't their job, right? And it's sad to say that, because to me, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion on this, because we've heard other coaches come out and say it's not their job to make sure that they're NFL ready. Well, see, if you're not going to be NFL ready, and I go get me an NFL defensive coordinator who knows how to set up a quarterback, who knows how to show cover zero, and then go into and then snap into a cover two post snap, you're going to be confused, and your quarterback ain't going to know what to do. He's going to throw it right into double coverage. He's going to throw picks all day, no matter how good he is, because he wasn't prepared for that. Because they're only preparing him, and this has been going on forever, by the way. But these guys, the level of readiness and the want to for quarterbacks like Klatt and like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Brent Roethlisberger, those guys, they went into the NFL working hard. That's why you see Jalen Hurts getting better every year, because he's continuing to work and be a student of the game. But see, these guys are not. A lot of these guys don't have that hunger anymore, and their college coaches are, in my opinion, kind of failing these guys in this way, because how are you not preparing them to face a Matt Patricia type of defense? They should know these things. He's at the Ohio State. He should know some of these things. He should know. They can, okay, if he comes, this is going to happen. But I still got my X, I still got my Y there. Oh, my Z's there. You know what I mean? Got my H back there. He's showing this. Or they're showing an all-out blitz real quick. If he's going to show an all-out blitz, or that blitz might come for the right. If it comes for the right, I got him there. Like, and playing quarterback is not an easy position at all. It's definitely not easy. But that's why some of these guys like Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin, these college quarterback friendly systems, to where they're designing plays to make it easier on the quarterback, and they just want guys to be successful in their system in college, just that system. They're not preparing to go up against certain things and certain schemes in defense. And that's why if you can call a good defense, you're almost golden. You're golden. And that's why that's why guys, to me, like, let's call it what it is. Drew Aller sees Penn State every single year. He sees Ohio State every year. Might play Michigan, he's playing against some tough guys. Ohio State's defense, Drew Aller will see that. Regardless of how you feel about Drew Aller, he's played against some tough schemes in the Big Ten. Prove it, right? John Maytier will see some tough schemes this year, right? Sam Levitt understands certain things. Now, will he probably see some tough schemes in the Big 12? I don't know, but because I haven't really checked those guys out. But I know for sure in the SEC and the Big 10, you're going to see schemes such as that they may throw at you in the NFL, that they may throw at you in the NFL once again, that they may throw at you in the NFL. But they're not preparing these college quarterbacks for that, and it's not their job to do that. Which is crazy to me, because I mean, you could throw so many different excuses out there. You could say so many different things, like, do they have time to actually get these guys prepared and have them ready for that? No, maybe not. But if they're not, and then they do run into that, it's going to be you're in for a long, long day. And you can make a preseason Heisman candidate quarterback look like he just a deer in the headlights, because he's not prepared for these certain things, right? Or, and it's so many of these college quarterbacks that's out here right now. And if they had the time to take their time to just work on being prepared for everything a defense might throw at you and learning all the little things, just being tedious in your work, do so. Be prepared for it because you're not going to, the NFL is really not going to coddle you and do that unless they're investing a very high draft pick in you because you have just because you just have this raw first round incredible talent, Lamar Jackson style or, Josh Allen type to where they got this. They got some of this. Now let me just fine tune a couple of things, and still even sometimes you throw certain things at some of these guys. You may even argue why this is maybe why these guys can't get to the big game because there's one buzzsaw of a coach that these guys cannot get past. And that is who? That is the Kansas City Chiefs. They can't get past the schemes that he is throwing at them. And they just can't get past it for some reason because they can't think the right way. They're not making the right decision. Somewhere y'all making a decision, taking sacks or and trying to overcompensate in the game. That's just what it is. But see, and we don't see these things, right? You don't see it. But then you discredit quarterbacks out here like a Jalen Hurts who actually went up against one of the best defensive coordinators and won the Super Bowl, regardless if he had Saquon Barkley or not. He still made throws in that game. And it's like playing chess because he's throwing things at you. He's one of the best to do it. He's been doing it for the past couple of years in the NFL, and they still have not caught on or built a offense besides Philadelphia's who can go up against them and actually win. It is what it is. That's just what it is, man. That's all I'm saying. And with the college quarterbacks, and my question to y'all out there, and I want y'all to get in the comments and let me know, like, do y'all where are y'all at on this? Do y'all think that the college level is failing some of these systems are failing the college quarterback and not preparing them and having them ready for everything that they may face? Because it's just not Arch. I don't think it's just Arch. Well, and we'll see more of these guys. We'll see it happen to a lot of guys out here, because they're not prepared for it. They're only prepared to be successful in their offense scheme that their offensive coordinator and head coach has them ready for. They're not prepared for other things that defenses may throw at them. Because everybody struggles, everybody does. But that's it with that. And yeah, man. So that's pretty much what I had on that. And I was like, yeah, because I had to talk about that because it was so much importance to, and why, to try to clarify some of the hype and how certain the masses can misconstrue things and get things all twisted up also, and kind of leading into the college quarterback dilemma, because I thought it was a perfect segue to just jump right up into the meat and potatoes and really get that out, because it's something that it's just my opinion really on college coaches really not preparing their guys, because it's really not their job. Their job is to actually, and I argued this point, but I listen to, even though I argue, even though I'm talking and on the panels and stuff like that, I'm also listening and I'm also learning while I'm talking too, and every time it's not right, but it is not actually their job. Their job is to prepare them for what the offense and defensive coordinator is actually running to perfect that system, not to, face the adversities of what a Matt Patricia Ohio State defense is going to throw at you, right? And that's the problem, because you're going to see things like that, especially for guys like Arch Manning, Drew Aller, Sam Levitt, John Maytier, guys who, Lenore Sellers, DJ Lagway, guys who are, and is looked at as being future draft picks. Those guys like that should definitely be prepared for anything, especially if you're going to be a college football playoff team, or else Ohio State is going to continue to buzzsaw everybody else. That's just what's going to happen. We're going to keep continue on, and I think that's what it is. Before I move on to my Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that's what it is too. I mean, the talent and the trenches that Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Bama, Michigan, Oregon, these teams get, they can just push you around. Georgia, like Clemson, Georgia Tech. These teams get these trenches that could just push you around and just manhandle you, but also, I think when you think of teams like particularly Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, they're throwing some schemes at you on defense that you have to be able to deal with because that pressure's coming. But they showed cover 3, and then they dropped into a man on you and did some exotic twist and stunt at the line, and they're confusing these young quarterbacks who are not prepared for these things. That's all. So that's all with that. Thank y'all for listening to that one. Now my Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, sir, my Pittsburgh Steelers. Now I talked about my Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers. I seen that video. I don't know. Check that video out if you haven't. It's gonna be posted. It's posted up. And I also had a whole live, chopped the live up and kind of put it in the shorter videos because I know people's attention span, y'all's attention spans are short, and I probably have to chop up this one. Anyhow, looking into the Pittsburgh, and I know it's way too early for me to actually talk about my Steelers in this manner, and talking about how I'm preparing them for, for whatever. And I know it's way too early for me to talk about draft picks with the Steelers because I just don't know what's going to happen. Right. So what I'll do is I'll say, because in the Steelers Twitterverse, Steeler Twitter, we like to have fun. We come up with all different kinds of predictions. And they said, what do y'all think we're going to need? Shout out to Portersburg. What do you think we're going to need for next year's draft? What positions y'all think we would go after? Well, wide receiver was definitely a popular one. We actually don't know, you know what I'm saying? But what I'll look at and what I'll say here is that what positions will I be looking at, and seeing how these positions perform? Because obviously if they don't perform well, we'll be looking at those in the draft. Now we'll be definitely watching receiver because who's going to step up and be the number 2 receiver? Like I spoke a lot about that on my videos, so y'all go check that out, right? The offensive line, right? We're going to be paying a lot of attention to the offensive line. And are we going to need a guard? Are we going to need a tackle? Because these guys have been sitting and learning for a couple of years now, besides Broderick Jones, but we need you guys to step up. We need Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick. We need you guys to step up. It's about time that you guys start. If we gotta see what's up. You guys were great at the college level. Guys got the size. Y'all one of the toughest organizations. We got to see what's going on. But so I really want to pay attention to our offensive line and how much time Aaron Rodgers actually has back there to operate. Because if we give him the time, he's actually a quarterback that has proven, I don't care how long ago it was. I know he's older now, but the older you get, the more wise you is, the different he start understanding different things that other younger quarterbacks just don't have. He may not have the speed he had when he was starting at Green Bay, no, but he knows things that a lot of young quarterbacks just don't know and they don't have. So there's some pluses to being older too. It's just not always negative and being an older guy in the NFL or anything, right, in life. So he's definitely proven that he can operate and make receivers good. And that's what good quarterbacks can do. Make receivers good. So can he actually, and if we can give him enough time to operate back there with our offensive line, we know that Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller and then Calvin Austin will look like number twos with Aaron Rodgers there, as long as they're doing what they need to do on their routes. We know DK is going to do it, but see, we got to see if he have enough time. Once again, the run game is going to, that's also another thing, because we know how hard Jalen Warren runs. He runs very hard. We know Kenneth Gainwell. We seen him do it at Philly, 1-2 punch with Saquon Barkley. There was games that actually Kenneth Gainwell got a little bit going before Barkley did, and then here come Barkley opening it up. So we know Gainwell can also do it too. We know Caleb Johnson can do it. We've seen him do it at Iowa, but a lot of this has to do with the offensive line. So yes, definitely paying attention to that offensive line. I know it's way too early to talk about future draft picks, but our offensive line, I'm definitely paying attention to that. We said receiver already. DB, I think defensive back is going to be a thing, because we got guys who are deemed to be older, right? And like I said, there's just things that they know how to, cheat the system. But if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. They just, they're not cheating themselves, obviously being with Pittsburgh, because you have to physically be able to perform on a Mike Tomlin team. You got to keep up in camp, got to take care of your body. It's important to stay healthy, and you're going to get the reps in and train hard on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's why a lot of people just don't like coming to our organization, right? Because the way that it's ran. But guys who work hard and work hard on taking care of their bodies and staying in shape, they love organizations like Pittsburgh. They appreciate that, Cam Hayward. That's why Cam Hayward is still in the shape he's in, Baltimore, I think, is the same way like that, because you see guys like Van Noy still around, sticking around, but yeah, but with us, that's just one of the things. And they're on 1-year deals. I don't want to say their age, but they're not signed to multi-year deals. I think we got big play slave for like 1 year. So we're probably gonna have to, look to fill that position. But we also can do that in free agency. But I will tell you, I want to see what Patrick Queen is going to do this year too. I want to see how well Patrick Queen steps up, if his game elevates, if he's able to elevate that defense and take control of the middle of the field this year, a lot better, because I believe that there was a reason why Baltimore went with Roquan, right? Obviously, there was a reason why they said, we got him, we got Roquan from the Bears. Patrick, you can go ahead and go. Now, do I think Patrick Queen was good? Absolutely, I think Patrick Queen is good, but it's time for him to step up this year and really, command the middle of that field and hold it down, because as long as if everybody on our defense is holding down their position and completing their assignments, I think we're going to be good. But that's a position to where I want to look at, to believe it or not, is linebacker. Always linebacker with us, because that's just what we do, right? So always linebacker. You know what I mean? Do I think we need defensive linemen? Yeah, also defensive linemen too, because we just got to keep that. We got to keep that going every year. Every year you got to keep on getting up. So that's another position I would like to look at. It's crazy to say that, but that's just what it is. And that quarterback is that's just obvious, right? We're going to be looking at a quarterback next year. Maybe we could look at quarterback, but if Will Howard shows up, and he is what he is. But listen, we're probably still going to go quarterback. We may not have to draft quarterback high, right? Because of Will Howard. We may not have to go super high because of A-Rod and how far we may go this season, right? There may not be the first round thing to go. We might, and I think a lot of organizations are kind of falling back off of taking quarterbacks in the first round anyway, because I don't think they want to reach for that talent anyway, because they're figuring out that the organizations are figuring out the kind of what I was talking about earlier with the college quarterbacks. They have figured out that these guys they're not prepared for everything. Now we're going to spend a first round pick on a quarterback. What, that's $30 million, $25 million, something like that, rookie contract. I don't know, just ballparking it right now, and he's not prepared for everything that may happen, especially in our division, when you got to see Myles Garrett and you got to see that Baltimore defense, and you got to see, you know what I mean, you got to put up with Cincinnati twice. We got those teams twice a year in the AFC North. Plus, you got to have a strong arm. You know what I mean? And you definitely got to be committed because there's not that much to do in Pittsburgh, but the focus on your craft and win Super Bowls. I mean, it's not super small. It's not a big city. It's cold. Gets cold in the winter. You know what I mean? Got to bundle up. You know, there's not too much to do. You got to travel, living there, but it's a place where you can, you know, live comfortable, nice area, and just lock in and be ready to win. And that's going to be hard to do, you know, because these guys are not prepared. And I think a lot of organizations are starting to realize that. A lot of owners and GMs are not going to be spending and reaching for these quarterbacks anymore. I just have that feeling. I mean, they showed us that this year, but I don't think it's just going to be this year unless a guy is proven to come in and to have a lot of these things and to know a lot of, I don't care if it's all your coverages, post snap reads, pre snap reads, slide your line protections, audibles, whatever it is, they're going to have to know a lot of that, to me, in my opinion, to be picked up. I think they're recognizing that. I honestly do. I honestly feel like these organizations are looking at that, and I think we're one of them. So I don't think that we'll reach for a quarterback in the first round, unless he's him, unless he's really him. And yeah, you got to have that blazing speed, and you got to have something else to go with it. You just can't have, you know, Lenore Seller's speed and everything else, you know, and he don't even have to come out. He doesn't even have to come out. But yeah, that's it for my things with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I kind of led right back up into this quarterback conversation though, you know, because it's important. Like this quarterback thing is really important. It just is, because Lenore Sellers does not have to come out this year. He doesn't. I think, you know, he can wait another year. I think he's another guy that should wait another year. It just ain't Arch. Like I said earlier, it's just not Arch Manning that should wait another year to come out. Lenore Sellers should absolutely wait to come out. When you look at the Browns, like, I mean, are they desperate? Like, that's just a position that they got so much to fill. The Browns, they got so much different positions to fill. Like, I don't even think they should be reaching for a quarterback in the first round. I mean, what guy is going to be worth that? And right now, it's way too early to look at things like that. But the most, like, you got to look at, to me, the conference makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference with conference you're in number one, right? And the play, right? What team they're on, how they play, everything that they looked at. That's going to be huge to me. That's going to be huge. And why does that matter so much? Because, I mean, when you look at somebody like a Jalen Hurts, he did go to Oklahoma, but Oklahoma was in the Big 12 at that time, but they've always been a prestigious program. They played Texas. They did play some good competition, right? But yeah, when you look at these SEC quarterbacks, that's more somewhere where I would want to lean into. But then you just don't know if they're going to be a dud in the NFL, because how much do they know? So we found our quarterback out of the MAC. Big Ben came from the MAC. You know what I mean? Like, so what do we know? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so really, I mean, you can find your quarterback anywhere, right? Anywhere, any one of the conferences. You just got to be looking, and he has to be ready. Got to be ready, willing, and knowing those small things. To me, I would think nowadays, and I only said that at the conferences would matter to me now because of the competition level, right? But at the same time, you're not really looking at the comp. You're looking at all the traits. You're supposed to be looking at the traits of the quarterback, what they can do, how they're processing the information pre and post snap. That's very important because you're going to see all that. You're going to see so much different formation schemes and exotic blitzes, exotic coverages, and how to do this. It's just going to happen so different, man. Oh, man, it's going to be so different in the NFL. It just is. So you got to be prepared for that. Got to be prepared and waiting. But that's all I got, man, for y'all, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man, on the conversation, man. Get the conversation going, y'all. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about the quarterbacks, and how many of these quarterbacks do y'all actually think should come out next year? Or do you think some of these guys should just kind of take their time and perfect their craft? Take their time, like such as a John Maytier, Carson Beck, Cam Ward. Those guys, yeah, they got picked on for staying around. You know what I mean? But they're also perfecting what they got going on. I think a quarterback who is very slept on and he's shorter is Diego Piava from Vanderbilt. Call me crazy, but it is what it is. Maybe I need to higher my standards. Maybe. But he's a lot. I think he has a lot to do with Vanderbilt's success offensively because of the way that he's processing and the way that he plays. Because he knows how to work. He knows what it is to work hard. Why? Simply, to me, I mean, he came from JUCO. That says it all. That says a lot. That says a lot. Believe it or not, that says a lot. He coming from JUCO, and to work your way into the NCAA, know what hard work and how much it takes to rise above, to get back to that level, and to become successful. That's definitely a guy I want to keep my eye on this season. I don't know about y'all, but y'all let me know, man. Appreciate y'all. Like I always say, y'all pray for each other, pray for yourselves, but pray for me also, and I'm praying for y'all. All right, y'all. Peace, man. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy y'all Labor Day, man.